What about gear? I suppose that when you're going to the Arctic, you're packing more gear than you would for a hot race, and things that, as we said, like 3 layers, things that you don't expect. How did you prepare for that?
So gear. So in the Arctic races, you're pulling a sled, so everything's on a sled behind you. So you're pulling your sleep, like you got a sleeping bag that's rated for -50 degrees. You got I carry a tent. You got your stove. You got food for 2 days. You got like equipment there if you need to light a fire. Water, like 4 liters of water. Some like an emergency saw. Somewhat like, and again, backup clothes. You got a down jacket. So like normal running, I'm running with a base layer, and a pants, and then a base layer on my top and a mid layer and an outer layer. But then when you stop, you put on this big down jacket, like top of Everest down jacket, because you're stopping to produce that heat.
Really thick to keep you.
Yeah, it's like a sleeping bag almost. So the minute you stop, you get that on, so you stop losing heat, and it keeps the heat in, kind of thing. A big part of doing well in those races is your layering, of being aware of your body conditions. If you're moving too fast, you're sweating. If you're sweating, you're going to get wet clothes. If you get wet clothes, you're going to get hypothermia. So you can't warm up. So it's like, okay, I'm starting to sweat a bit. I'll zip down my hoodie. I'll take off my hat.
Yeah.
Okay. Or it's getting cold again. I'll put on a second pair of gloves, kind of thing. So you're constantly being aware of your body and your body temperature and your body.
So you're adjusting as you go during the race.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned there the danger zone earlier. Were you ever in like a situation where you felt like, oh, I'm maybe pushing it a little bit too much, or if I don't change something right now, something might go wrong?
There was one time in the race in Sweden. I've been going for a long time. I was just out of energy. I was trying to get to the Arctic Circle. There's a line that you're crossing into the Arctic Circle, and there was a cabin there. So I wanted to get to the cabin to sleep, kind of thing. But I'd been going for, again, maybe 30-35 hours through the night, and I was just like really wrecked. I was nearly out of food, and I was kind of like, I'll just keep going, and I'll cook. Sun was coming up, so my plan was to get there, cook some porridge, eat the porridge, and then sleep for 2 hours while I was digesting the porridge and get going again. But it was just felt like it was taking ages. And like about 2 kilometers from there, I stopped and lay down, and I think I've reached my limits now, kind of thing. But after a quick 5-minute rest, I got up and walked on again. But that was that was my mindset. I was like, oh, I've really pushed it here now. I really was tired.
All right. Explain resting in the Arctic. Like, there's a danger of you falling asleep, right?
Yeah.
Because you fall asleep in -40 degrees, like you're not waking up. You're game over. You're done. Not just the race, but everything.
Unless you have the right stuff underneath you. Yeah.
Okay. How do you do a rest? Like, do you just like sit down, lay down? Like,
I used to lay back on my sled, my pulk. So it's like your sleeping bag's in there, so that's inside. So you just lay back and try yourself. So if you fall off, you wake yourself up, kind of thing. Yeah. But again, it's not ideal, but it's just it could be a 5-minute nap, and a lot of the times it's just to take the weight off your legs, because when you're moving 20 hours a day, your legs do be fairly dead.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Man, it sounds hard.
Another thing is the sleeping, man. I suppose it's an interesting thing. Like, I brought on the second race in Sweden, on boat races, I had an inflatable sleeping mat. It's like a hand pump one that you pump up like that. I found it really awkward to be pumping it up, because you're always pushing into the snow. But then, like, towards the end of the second race, I changed over from one of those Z-fold mats. I think it's got an R rating of 2.1 or something. Okay. It turned out that's not thick enough. So you need to like at least 2 or 3 of them to give you the insulation from the snow, kind of thing. So the last night of the race in Sweden, I was trying to sleep on that, but it was just it's just the cold comes up through your bones, and it's sore.
Yeah.
Not conducive to good sleep.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it doesn't sound like optimal conditions. Yeah. But tell me one thing, like, have you heard of the guy Wim Hof in Poland doing like the breathing and everything?
Yeah.
He, like, when you think about cold and what he's doing, can you comment on that? Because from what he's showing in YouTube videos and stuff like that, like, you can go into the cold without problems, right? And he does it like naked, taking people up mountains in snow and cold. Have you tried doing breathing exercises like that? And do you think that can help, or how do you look at that?
Yeah, I've never tried the Wim Hof. Sometimes, occasionally, I'll when I'm running, I'll breathe out and try and hold it for as many seconds as I can. Generally, I get to 12 or 13 before you might get a kind of a dizzy spell. And I suppose it's all increasing your VO2 max kind of thing. So I've never formally tried it. Sometimes I'll do that just to test myself, see if I can get to 13 or 14. But
that's more like boxed breathing, right? Where you do like breathing in, holding it, and then breating out, right? And then keeping that.
What I do is just breathing out and then holding it. So you're breathing out all of the carbon dioxide.
Okay.
Again, I read it in the book. There's some science to it. But Wim Hof, yeah, like that sounds amazing. But there's loads of things that can work, and sometimes it's just placebo. So placebo can work as well. I'm not saying I wouldn't try the Wim Hof. I definitely do it out of interest because I like new experiences.
Yeah.
But I didn't need it on the races. But like breath, there's definitely something to breathe in. To like, I suppose generally I go to like big breaths in through my nose, out through my mouth kind of thing if I'm feeling something.
I think that's how he does, like, but there's no trick to it, right? There's like, you can breathe in, breathe out, and hold it. There's like 3 things that you can do with your breath. I think he does it as well. I think that one of the parts of his method is that you actually have to kind of embrace the cold, you know, and as you said, the placebo effect of like, I'm okay being cold, right? And the constant breathing supplies you with extra oxygen. And the thing that happens is when you do it, it's like you can do it here on the couch and it will feel like you're running a little bit, you know, your whole body circulation starts flowing faster and, you know, you just get warm from the inside, right? And that's kind of the basis of it. But somebody should test it on a race like yours in the Arctic, you know, where for a number of days you're exposed to extreme cold, right? Because but that's how he did all his tests, you know, like his swimming in the Arctic, you know, like blocks of ice floating next to him, you know, it's just like having a nice swim, you know, going out, like, right, stuff like that. So
it's pretty amazing.
Still, I would choose cold over hot any day.
So back to it. Like for sure, me too. But it's another challenge, isn't it? I suppose my tactic for this race will be take it very easy during the day and go harder at night. And again, once like I know it's going to be 30 degrees, so just protecting as much skin as possible, a good hat and loads of hydration. You know, a big thing with some of these races is overhydration. But again, like, you know, I think if you know your body well enough, it's like, okay, I'm sweating an awful lot, and I've only drank a liter in the last 4 hours, and there's something wrong here. You know, slow down, start drinking more. Because this race is going to take 4 days, so there's no major push. But it's a race from Liechtenstein to Geneva, so it's going to be epic. You know?
Crazy, man. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see the full version, go to the Uncle Gold Podcast YouTube channel or watch the next clip.